Okay, well, good evening to everybody. It's July 20th, 2021, and we're coming to you this evening, and this is going to be a little bit of a different type of video. We're not reviewing anything. We're not going anywhere. We're just going to pay tribute to a very special member of our family that's no longer with us tonight. And the reason we picked July 20th, this marks the 2-year anniversary of us losing our little pet Pierre. You've heard us talk about him many times. A lot of the times the places we go, especially the Smokies or places in Florida that we do reviews on for you, these are places that he went to with us, and we weren't doing any video on YouTube at that time. We weren't doing this, so that's why you've never really got to see him in any of those videos. And we want to do that. We want to share some of our memories of him tonight, and we want to show you some pictures and videos of the happier times and even the sadder times as he started to go downhill with his health. And this is just something that we felt we wanted to do. This has been a very difficult week. It was very difficult for me last year around this time, and it's just all week has been constantly memories of Pierre and how much he meant to us. So we just want to, I want to give you a little history, and I know this is going to be a pretty long video, and those of you who do watch it, you know, nobody's obligated to, but we do appreciate it if you feel like you want to. We feel like we want to do this in honor of him. He was a little 5.5-pound Yorkshire Terrier, but he brought a lot of joy into our lives. And the way he came to us, he was a rescue. So to speak. We did not get him from a rescue organization. We already had one Yorkshire Terrier at the time, Rovier. We got him in 2009, and he was our only dog. He was the only dog that ever really lived in the house with us. And when she asked me, "Can I get a Yorkie?" I didn't want an inside dog. I didn't want, every dog I've ever had was an outside dog, and I just didn't want an animal in the house. But she talked me into it, and we got him. And within 5 minutes, we were attached. And so then in 2013, my dad found a Yorkie. It was a really cold morning, early March. Found a Yorkie outside of his house, right there along the highway, and didn't know where he had come from. He just showed up. So my dad called and asked me if he could come up to our house since we already had one. So we said yes. And at that time, we had no idea he would become our pet. We thought somebody had lost him, and we're going to do the right thing. We're not just going to find somebody's dog and keep it because it's a popular breed. That's not the kind of people we are. And I knew that if our Yorkie had been lost, we would want somebody to do the right thing and try to find us. So we tried to find the owners, put ads online, made flyers, went up to the community. It's about 30 miles from here, and put up flyers everywhere. And I even went on the GoWilkes.com. Wilkes County is where he was at, North Carolina. Even went on there and asked anybody who was missing a small breed dog if they could identify the sex of the dog and the breed. Didn't tell them it was a Yorkie, didn't tell them it was a male. Just I wanted somebody to be able to, because if you get on there and say that, they're going to, oh yeah, that's mine. So I wanted them to be able to tell what kind of dog they had lost. And we got call after call. People had lost Chihuahuas, Shih Tzus, and everything else, but nobody ever claimed him. And we couldn't figure it out. We know a little bit more now, but so we did everything we could do to find the owners, and all this while we're keeping him, we're just kind of hoping more and more that they don't show up. And I took him to the veterinarian one day to see if he had a microchip, and they scanned him. He did, but the owner had failed to register it, so they really couldn't trace who he belonged to. But they started noticing, one thing we had noticed was that his front legs were crooked. He could walk, he could run a little bit, but he could not walk and run like other dogs. He couldn't jump up on the couch. He had to be picked up and placed on the couch. He could not jump at all. And I asked the veterinarian about it. She looked at me and she says, "This dog looks like he's been kept in a cage, possibly as a breed dog." We still don't know for a fact that was what happened. He could have been born with a deformity, but he had a deformity nonetheless. And when she told me that, and the way he acted, he was very scared when he came to us. When she told us that, I told my wife, I said, we're not looking anymore. He's got a home here. If he was mistreated, it's not going to happen to him again. And we took him in, and over time, he changed 100%. I mean, he went from being scared, if you made a sudden movement, he would flinch, to he was very clingy and always wanted to be held, always wanted to be have all the attention on him. He even would try to get in between us and our other Yorkie that we already had. If we tried to pet him, Pierre would get in the middle of it. He didn't want. He was the man from now on, you know. So anyway, that's a little bit of the history of how he came to us. Nobody ever did claim him. We had him for 6 years and 4 months. The vets estimated when we brought him in that first day that he was 12 years old then. Obviously, he probably was not that old, because that would put him at 18 at the time of his passing. So when he did pass, they said they thought he was probably around 15 years old. But we don't know. We don't know when he was born. We don't know anything about his history except that when he came here, he brought a lot of happiness into our family for 6 years and 4 months. So we're going to share some video clips and some pictures of his time with us and some of the places that he went with us. And I wish y'all had gotten to know him as you've seen some of our dogs now. I wish you had gotten to know Pierre, because to know Pierre was to love Pierre. He was impossible not to like. He had some antics about him that were hilarious. But we're going to go ahead right now and show y'all some video clips.
Okay. Alright, so this clip here that we're going to be showing, it's a winter clip. We were actually in the Great Smoky Mountains at the Oconaluftee Overlook.
Right below Newfound Gap.
Right, and it's snowing lightly. You know, we're just out sightseeing and got the dogs with us, of course. And we had gotten out and taken pictures, videos, and so forth. And I got back in the van and doors open. And Derek's still recording, and little Pierre, he's walking around.
To death,
he's like, okay, I'm done with this. I want in the van. So I'm hollering for him. He comes and kind of stands there with me, but I didn't pick him up quick enough. And Derek's down going, Pierre, Pierre. And Pierre like gets on his legs looking up like, okay.
Pierre would always come over to my legs and prop up like, are you going to do something?
Yeah, pick me up. I'm done with this. Pierre.
Pierre, are you cold? You ready to go? Pierre. Okay. Alright, you ready to go? You done with all the snow? So that's the first clip. Now, the next 3 clips, Pierre and Rovier both love to go for rides, and don't ever let anybody tell you that a dog don't understand what you're saying. Dogs do learn words and phrases, and all I had to do was ask them, you want to go for a ride? And they would absolutely go all to pieces. They love car rides. And Pierre especially would sometimes get so excited he would start barking and running around in circles. So we're going to let you see that. The first 2 clips are, I think, of the same day. We were back there on our bed and I brought up the subject of going for a ride. So Pierre goes crazy, jumps on Rovier. And then the 3rd clip is another day, but he's in here in our living room when we still had carpet down. We have wood floor now. And I asked Pierre that day, I asked both of them if they wanted to go for a ride, and Pierre just gets beside himself and starts just running around in circles. So I wanted to share that with you. That was one of the happier times. But if you just mentioned going for a car ride to Pierre, he was ready to go. Want to go for a ride? You want to go for a ride? You boys want to go for a ride? Rovier, you want to go for a ride? Pierre, you want to go for a ride? Pierre, you want to go for a ride? Is that a yes? You want to go for a ride, Rovier? You ready to go? You boys want to go for a ride? Pierre, you want to go for a ride? You ready to go? You want to go for a ride? You ready to go for a ride? Pierre, you want to go? You ready? Let's go for a ride. And another, this next clip we're going to show, Pierre was pretty angelic most of the time, but he could have a temper too. Not with us. He never once, unlike Rovier, Pierre has never snapped at us, never even threatened, or even never really acted like he even got mad. Yeah, never growled. Never growled at us. Rovier is totally the opposite. But this clip here, we have a boxer that we also got later on, I think in November. Pierre came to us in March of 2013, and T-Bone, our boxer, came in December. I don't remember. I know he was born. I'm sorry, he was born at Christmas, right before Christmas in December. We got him in early 2014. So we brought our boxer puppy home, and we had him in the house, and he wanted to play with Pierre. Pierre just wanted to lay in his bed. He wanted no part of that dog at all.
Pierre had his bed, and it was only his bed.
Pierre didn't like loud, boisterous dogs. Pierre was relaxed, relaxed most of the time. And T-Bone wanted to play. Pierre couldn't stand him. Pierre never did grow to like T-Bone. He would try to, if we had Pierre outside, if T-Bone's around, Pierre would get up against the bricks of the house and be still. He thought he was invisible.
Camouflage.
Yeah. So he never did like our boxer. He never took to him. But this clip here was a funny one because it shows Pierre acting like almost like a rattlesnake, striking just to get that dog to leave him alone. At one point he looks up at me like, why did you bring that thing here? So he did not like the boxer puppy. Now, these next set of video clips is where things start to turn sad a little bit. Pierre, we thought we were going to lose him in 2017. We noticed about the summer of 2017 that he started having some issues walking, and when he would walk he would fall over, sometimes forward. And we did not realize, we thought it was just because his legs were crooked and he was getting a little bit older, but he was having some neurological issues that really manifested themselves later on in the fall of that year. November 4th, 2017, our lives with Pierre changed for the worse that day. And I'll tell you what happened. We had taken her mom, who really didn't ever get to travel to the Smoky Mountains much. We had taken her up to Pigeon Forge that Friday night on the 3rd, and we were going to go over to Cades Cove the next day on the 4th. And we got up that morning, and Pierre acted different that morning. He was very irritable, not like himself at all. He was, you couldn't even put him down for a minute. He was just he was barking constantly. And the only thing that would comfort him is if I'd pick him up, then he would calm down. So we had eaten lunch over at I believe it was the Hillbilly restaurant there in Wares Valley, Tennessee, and headed over to Cades Cove, and we stopped at an overlook after we left Townsend, got into the national park, took the right turn. It's the first overlook on the river there. We got out to take some pictures. There was still some lingering fall color, not much, but she went up to the side of the van video, and Pierre was just barking incessantly like he wanted us back in there, and it was not like him. We got back in, and she was holding him, and his head just locked up to the side. She thought he was trying to turn and look at Rovier behind him. And I said, "What's wrong with you?" She goes, "No, he's okay." I said, "He's not okay." And she turned him around, and his head was just locked like that. We didn't know. We didn't know what happened. So we started praying, and all of a sudden he came out of it, and it was like and then he had like a seizure, and he emptied his bladder all over me. And this is on the way to Cades Cove. We didn't know what to do, so he kind of came back to himself. So we thought, well, we went on into Cades Cove, and we got to the visitor center halfway through, and I got out to go to the restroom, and when I handed him over to her, he just started screaming and barking at the top of his lungs. And then I turned around and start to run back over there, and he just goes limp in her arms. We thought he had just died. And I grabbed him and started talking to him and trying to bring, and he woke up again. So that was his second seizure of the day. After we left Cades Cove, we got out of there as quick as we could. And of course, in Cades Cove, there's people who just stop to see a bear. I had at one point to tell a woman, "Please move your car out of the road. We have a medical emergency." And by the way, I'm going to insert this. If you're in Cades Cove, it says use the pull-offs, don't stop in the road. Don't worry about the person behind you and say, "Well, they don't need to be in a hurry." You don't know what's going on with them. They might have to get out of there quick. We were not in a hurry when we got there that day, but we were sure in a hurry by now. Because our dog, we don't know if he's going to live or not. So we got him to the hospital over in Maryville. They wanted to put him in urgent care in Knoxville. Or in, I guess, the overnight 24-hour clinic in Knoxville. And, we live in North Carolina, so I said, "Look, we got to take him back home. We have an emergency clinic there. We need to get him back home." The veterinarian told me, says, "He may not live till you get him back to Hickory." And I said, "Well, we got to try." And he did. On the way home, he had 3 more seizures. That's 5 for the day. Clustered seizures are not good. They can do permanent damage or even kill a little dog like that. So we got into the veterinarians that night, and they told us, they said, "Look, there's one treatment we can try." I don't even know what it was. I think they hit him with high-dose phenobarbital. And they said, "There's one thing we can try, and it may or may not work." And he was so special to us at the time, we had to try it. And I said, "Well, just do what you have to do." So they hospitalized him. I stayed there with him. I didn't leave, except I did have to go take care of something at church the next morning and open up service. And I left and came back. And he was in the emergency clinic until, that was from Saturday night until, I think they did discharge him on Sunday because he did finally come around. But what I'm saying is we didn't know. And then he had another 6th seizure that night after they admitted him to the hospital. Then they hit him with whatever drugs they hit him with. And I just want to share, there's a few pictures here of him in the hospital. The first 2 are pictures. And you can just see, one of them is him you can tell he's just out of it, laying in his little bed. And the other one, I didn't know she had taken it. I'm just holding him. I'm concerned about him because he's like, his seizures had caused him to bust a blood vessel in his eye, and his eye was red. And I thought I was going to lose my dog. And I had just kind of held him up, was kissing him. She took a picture. So I did want to include that picture because that's a reminder of that night. And then the next 2 are video clips. The one video clip is him still when he's drugged. He's not doing anything. And then I did include the next one because he's starting to wake up a little bit. You can tell he's just like spaced out. And I'm trying to talk to him and say things that he was familiar with, like about going for a ride. And he's trying to perk up, but he's still drugged. Hey Pierre, you want to say hello? Go for a ride? You want to go home? So he's obviously still a little bit out of it, but he's a little bit coherent too. So that's those video clips, and that was November 2017. But something happened. Pierre made an amazing, miraculous rebound. We had people praying. You say, "Did you really ask people to pray for your dog?" Absolutely. A lot of people think that's wrong, but the Bible says, "Cast all your cares on him, for he careth for you." Well, all means all. And Pierre was something that we cared about very deeply. He was special to us. And I prayed and asked God to touch him and give us more time with him. And when he was discharged on Sunday evening, let me say this, when he had those seizures, he had not been able to walk or stand up. I did not know how we were going to, we just had to clean up after him when he went to the bathroom. And we had to feed him. And when we were discharged that evening, I asked the veterinarian, I said, will he ever walk again? They said, we do not know, we cannot tell you that. That's Sunday night. The next clip you're going to see is on Tuesday, 2 days later. We are getting ready to go to the airport in Charlotte because our son has been stationed in Kuwait for 9 months and he's flying back. So we're going to reunite with him. And I'm taking Pierre out. My wife has left work. She's on her way home. We're getting ready to go to Charlotte. And I take them out and I had to hold Pierre up just to let him go to the bathroom. But before I got outside, Pierre was like trying to fight to get out of my arms, which was not normal because Pierre always wanted to be held. Pierre was tired of not walking. And it had just rained, the ground is mushy, and I'm thinking, I don't want to set him down on the ground because he's just going to get dirty and I don't have time to bathe him. We got to go. And 2 days after being told Pierre may never walk again, these next clips are Pierre walking. Now he looks like he's drunk, but he's walking. And honestly, I became very emotional seeing that, trying to encourage him. But after being told 2 days ago he may never walk again, here he is 2 days walking. You'll notice a lot of his hair was falling out. He had recently just started thyroid medication for that. His hair did grow back. That was during the time that his hair had fallen out a lot. He was on several medications, but look at him go. He said, there ain't no seizures gonna keep me down. Alright, we're getting a little close to the ditch. Let's not go that way. Reverse course. Thank you, Lord. He gradually improved over the next week and over the next month to the point where he almost walked like he used to. And you know, we never thought we would see that. And that was in November of 2017, and we weren't even sure he was going to live or that he'd ever walk, and he did. Actually began to improve. Took him to a specialist in December down in Charlotte. And loved that doctor. He was a very, very compassionate veterinarian. He says, look, I'm not like most guys. He says, the only way we're going to know if he has a tumor or brain tumor that's causing this is an MRI. He says, but he does not appear to be suffering. I don't want to put him through an MRI till we have to. He says, as long as he's content to be in your lap, he says, let's leave him alone. He says, if it's a tumor, we'll know within a couple of months because it will take him. And obviously it wasn't, because Pierre lived another 20 months and almost 2 more years. So wanted to share that with you, his miraculous recovery. And I believe in answer to prayer. Wasn't ready to lose him at that time. Still wasn't, but you know, it was totally unprepared. At least that allowed us to prepare for what we knew the inevitable would be. So.
All right, Pierre always loved to be held. I mean, if you set him down for a minute, it'd be like, okay, I know you're going to pick me right back up, you know, but Pierre always wanted to be held. Even
when we were driving, very rarely would he ride in his bed. He had to be on my lap.
And it was him that had to hold him. You know, I was okay if he wasn't around. But we went to Lowe's one day, and you know, buying a few things here and there, and we had to get a wheelbarrow. Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of hard to push a car and a wheelbarrow and hold dogs.
And it's hard. Have you ever tried to hold a little dog and push a wheelbarrow?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I got the bright idea. Let's put his blankets down in the wheelbarrow and make him a bed, and he'll love that. He'll love riding that wheelbarrow through the store. He didn't love it. He hated it. So this next video clip is me being basically told off for putting him in the wheelbarrow.
In front of everyone in Lowe's.
And it was so loud, people were looking. I finally had to pick him back up and make do because he was not having any part of riding in that wheelbarrow. Pierre, you got the best ride in Lowe's. Are you not happy? All right. Now, the next clip is Pierre's last Florida trip. This was taken in Gainesville, Florida, over on the campus of the University of Florida at Lake Alice. At this time, I want to say, you say, why were you taking him to Florida? We didn't know he was this sick. We honestly didn't. And we knew he was getting older, but he was still walking and, you know, doing fairly well for a dog that was supposed to be as old as he was. So we had gone to Florida. We were on our way to Siesta Key, where we were just at last week. And his last Florida trip, that's what this next clip is. We're actually, he's walking around. You can see that he's having some more, he's slowing down. He's not as mobile as he used to be. We had no idea this was approximately 3 weeks before he would leave us. And we were down in Florida for a week, so after we got back, we had about 2 weeks left with him, and we had no idea. And so that's what these next two clips are, this next clip. Now, this next clip that I'm going to show you is on a Thursday evening, less than 2 days before he passed. You saw earlier how he loved rides. And I felt like since he loved rides so much, honestly, by this time we had taken him back. And I didn't tell you this. I'm going to tell you what happened in a minute. He had been back to the emergency clinic again. The Sunday night after we returned from Florida, we're in our den, and her and I had done our Bible reading for that evening, and Pierre was over there actually on her lap. He was licking her leg just like he was
happy. Everything's fine.
Not 15 minutes later, she put him down beside me on the couch where he would lay sometimes, or on my lap. This time he was beside of me, and she had gone downstairs, and I thought he was asleep. I thought he was asleep, and I just thought, well, I'm going to pick him up and hold him. When I picked him up, he was limp, and he was. And I thought, why is he limp? I turned around and looked at him. He's looking at me, and his tongue is out of his mouth, and it's turning purple. But he's still alive. And I start panicking. And I don't know how to do CPR, but I did what I knew to do, and I brought him back. And I got him breathing again. I hollered for her to come on and said, we've got to get him to the veterinarian right now. We had a veterinarian hospital about 10 minutes away from us. That's a 24-hour clinic. And I actually got him to breathing again. And that was on a Sunday night. I took Monday off work, called in, and they sent him home, I think, on Tuesday, and they told us, and they gave us a very bad diagnosis. They said, because of his coughing, he said he had a collapsing trachea. You're going to hear his coughing here in just a moment. And I just want to say, I'm putting this clip in here, not because it's easy for me to watch. It's not. But if you have a dog that's doing this, get it to the vet, and don't ignore it. Don't think it's going to go away. What it's going to do, that collapsing trachea is going to cause your dog's heart to enlarge, and then it will not be able to pump oxygen like it should. And that's bad news. You don't let it get to that point. Pierre was old. That is something that a lot of small breeds have. But anyway, what I was going to say is that Thursday evening, 2 days after he was discharged, he was not doing well, and we knew it. And we knew that this was probably it. So I wanted to take him for a ride. A short one, just because he loved to ride so much. And so I've got him laying in the middle of the van, and I speak to him, and he just barks like, pick me up. And when I picked him up, he did what he always did. And what was that?
Kisses in the ear.
Left ear.
Thank you.
I did not want, after I lost Pierre, I didn't want to wash this left ear for a long time. I know that sounds bad. I did. I took showers, but I didn't want to, because That's where every time I would pick him up and hold him, he would always lean over immediately and give me a kiss. Well, this was 2 days before he passed. He gave me a really long one this time, and I want to include that in this video because it was one of the last ones I ever got from him. Hey Pierre, we're going for a ride. All right, I've got
Preferred. Thank you.
There's my kiss.
Yes, that's exactly what I need.
Thank you. Such a sweet kiss. That's a long one too.
Because I love you so much.
But I'll take it.
Still kissing?
Well, it's the longest one ever. And what we're going to do now, that's the last video clip I'm going to show. I'm going to show some pictures now. And we're going to show pictures at various stages from when he came to us to when he left us.
And so the next 3 show how close he was to Derek. I mean, they were very, very close. So close that I even gave Derek the nickname the Preferred. So it's like when Pierre needed something, I'd say, well, Preferred, you know.
That's my nickname.
Yeah. And anyway, so the 3rd picture, Derek got out of the van. I don't remember where we were at exactly, but Pierre was always concerned where his Preferred was at. So he's up looking, you know, watching. It's like, okay, where'd he go? When's he coming back? I mean, Pierre just had a super sweet personality. And I know he loved his family, but like I said, you know, Derek was the favorite. And he was always very
That's
concerned.
about the only dog that's ever felt that way about me. That's why it was, when he passed, I felt like part of my heart had died. I still do. He's really the only dog that's ever just like attached himself to me like that. And go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt
No,
you.
that's okay. But I mean, Pierre was. It was just like, you know, anything Derek did, he wanted to be a part of it.
But like these first 2 pictures show where he always had to be when we're riding down the road. He would go to sleep in the most awkward positions as long as I was holding him.
Yeah,
and,
it's just like when we were riding and stuff like that, or he was driving on his lap.
And I know that might not be the safest thing, but I'd like to see anybody try to get Pierre to ride in a dog restraint. And he had a great bed.
Oh yeah, we would make it just as fluffy and nice as we possibly could.
He did not want any part of it.
And you couldn't even lay him in your lap. We tried that. Well, like even on our shirts, he's actually laying on Derek's lap.
Yeah,
here.
this picture is him laying across my lap.
But that was only like just for just a little bit. You know, it's like, okay, you got your picture, pick me back up.
Yeah. He would sometimes sit on my lap, but yeah, it had to be on me at either holding him or on my lap. But the 3rd picture in this set is I had gotten out. I don't even remember where we were that day, but she took that picture. I had gotten out, and he props himself. He's looking out the window, worried to death where I'm going.
And I don't know if you included. I don't even know if we even have this picture, but this is something we talk about a lot. Pierre always kind of looked like he could smile a little bit, and I've said that before.
Yeah. I'm gonna share some of those.
Okay, well I'll just go ahead and say it just because I brought it up. But one day he was going to take him for a ride, and of course he already stuck him in the truck, came back in the house for something, and was going back out. Pierre, of course, is standing there looking, and it's just like he had his eyes kind of slanted.
Yeah, his eyes were just shut. It's almost like Pierre could almost smile.
Yeah, and it was just like, and I had seen him do. I didn't see him that particular time, but it's just like, okay, my Preferred's coming, and we're going for a ride. You know, it's just like, oh, happy day.
It was almost just like life is great. You know? But yeah, these pictures show how spoiled he was. The first one, he's bundled up in a blanket in the middle in the vehicle between us, and I think that was in the truck. Then the next one, he's in a campground chair. It had gotten kind of chilly that night at Cades Cove Campground, and Pierre in my chair, bundled up, always on my lap. You know, and he went with us a lot of places. He was my hiking buddy. I had to carry him. Pierre did no hiking of his own, and he couldn't, you know. He couldn't stand up to that. But we hiked. One of the pictures where you see the waterfall in the background is in South Carolina at Ravencliff Falls, I believe it is, near Caesar's Head. I had to carry him the whole, I think it's about 5 miles round trip. But he went camping. The camping trip, the first camping trip after I lost Pierre was the hardest because I had a cot that I would take camping and take naps during the day. It was like a camping cot. Pierre always laid right there with me, and that picture is going to be also, you're going to see that picture. He would lay right next to me, and it was very hard. The next time we went camping, I laid on that. I couldn't hardly take it, to be honest with you, because he wasn't there with me the way he was supposed to be. And then this next one is one night, I think it might have been his first camping trip with us. Pierre wanted to sleep in the sleeping bag. He didn't want to go in the pet taxi with Rovier, and trying to tell it, you cannot sleep in the sleeping bag, Pierre. You'll get down in it and suffocate. He didn't understand. So I got a picture of that. I don't have a video of it.
And this one here, Pierre loved to go places with us, and get the suitcase out. Okay, I know you guys are getting ready to go somewhere. So he's like, I left the room for something I was packing, and as I come back in, it's like, I just see that little furry head just looking. It's like, you're taking me. Don't forget me.
Yeah, he knew he was going somewhere, and he thought he ought to be going, so he packed himself in the suitcase. So lest we leave him at home.
Yeah. And he loved, well, I shouldn't say he loved, but he was the easiest dog to dress up. I got a little Western hat for him, and he just looked so sweet in it, or he could do the tropical look. I mean, anything that you put on him, he would let you do it, and he just looked so sweet. I mean, just always just the sweetest little personality and just the sweetest little face.
And as this next clip shows, he also knew how to dress for college football game day. We watched football together. Pierre didn't quite get into it as much as I did, and if I started, I think you was wanting to tell that anyway. If I started getting into it a little too much, Pierre was done.
Pierre says, okay, I'm leaving the room.
That was the only way to get Pierre off my lap, was to start yelling at the TV.
And it was so funny because he'd leave and you could hear his little claw or paws going across the kitchen floor.
Yeah.
And then it was like, and then he'd be
I'd call him 10 minutes later, and he'd come right back.
Here he come right. He's like, no more yelling.
He's like, man, you take this too seriously.
Yeah, it's just a game. And like all of us, Pierre could have a bad hair day.
Yeah.
So.
One thing Pierre did not like was snow. Pierre never did enjoy being out in snow. But I'll show you here how I kept him warm. You can see that, and that was a common occurrence. If we would go to Gatlinburg in the wintertime, Pierre almost always was carried in my jacket. And he'd poke his head out. Yeah, you can't believe the people in Gatlinburg how funny they thought that was. People would always point and look. And
you just got your coat down, and then you just got this furry little head right here.
So we got a picture of that with a little bit of snow in the background. This next one I like to call resting on the promises. That's something that Christians say if they're going through a hard time or a battle. They'll rest on the promises that are found in God's Word, the Bible. And one night I had my Bible laying there on the couch, and I go in there and Pierre's asleep, resting his head on it. So I always called that, Pierre resting on the promises. Now, the next 9 pictures in this set are some of our favorites. They show his innocence. Pierre could get a face sometimes that was almost angelic in nature. I mean, he would just look so innocent, and and sweet, but they show his innocence, and he just seemed to be so happy in our home. It was like he was grateful he had a home. The way he would look at us and he would gaze up at us, it was just like there was a look of gratitude, and almost sometimes the hint of a smile. So I wanted to share some of those. These are some of our favorite poses of Pierre when he would smile, and just seemed like his life changed, and he changed ours. It wasn't just us changing his life, he changed ours for the better. And I've often heard it said that a dog can make a better person, and that's true. Pierre did that. I'd never thought about taking in a rescue before, ever. When Pierre passed, I had a real struggle with doing that again. We did get Renoir in October. I don't know that I was ready to do that. I didn't want to hold Renoir to the standard of Pierre, because he's not Pierre. There was no replacing Pierre. I almost did not even want to take in another one, but then I thought, Pierre came along at the right time. He needed somebody. There's other dogs out there that have that same need too. So we kind of did it in honor of Pierre. We just took in, we took Renoir in, adopted him. We did get him through an adoption agency out of Nashville. Or a rescue, I should say. He's not Pierre. He's not dispositioned at all like Pierre, but that's okay. He's his own dog. But that was a struggle for me to get another dog. Cause in one way, and I understand this, I felt like I was being disloyal because Pierre was my dog. How can I just bring another one in and do the same things with him and act like Pierre was never here? And I felt so guilty. And I found myself asking, what would Pierre want me to do? And I thought, we gave him a home and gave him love, and I think obviously he couldn't talk, but if he could and knew what the situation was, he would say to do it for another dog that was in his situation. So we ultimately did. It was not an easy decision. Now, this next set is the lasts, and that's a series of last photos. The next one is the night he almost left us at the emergency veterinary. This is after I had brought him back. He had almost slipped out while I thought he was asleep beside of me. And they put him in an oxygen tank at the veterinarian, and his tongue turned pink again, and he seemed to rebound a little bit. And that was when they ran their test and gave us a bad prognosis. But this picture is him right after he's been admitted to the vets. And they've got him in the oxygen chamber box, whatever you call it. So that was his last week with us. Now, Chauncey's going to explain the next picture. We're going to back up a little bit to about a month prior.
So we went to Roan Mountain for Derek's birthday, which was in June, and we hiked up to the top of Round Bald. Pierre did not hike. Pierre was
Pierre rode.
Yeah, Pierre had the easiest thing to do, but yeah, we had went up there for Derek's birthday that day.
And again, this is in June. This is a month and I think 3 days. I think that was June 17th, if my memory serves me right. My birthday was the 19th. And we had at this clue no idea Pierre was this sick at all. None. Just knew that he was getting older, but he seemed to do fine everywhere we went.
As long as he was being held. I mean,
after I found out his heart wasn't pumping the oxygen properly, I have blamed myself a lot for why did we take him to Roan Mountain? That's high elevation. The oxygen's thinner up there. Every way I could blame myself for what happened, I have, but we didn't know. And I'm not saying it even had anything to do with it. The vets told me it didn't, but I still deal with that. Did I do something? By taking him up there on that high mountain when he was already having trouble breathing, but that day he wasn't, so we didn't know. This next one, This is about 3 weeks before he lost him. Again, have no idea. We were getting ready to go to Florida. This is a Tuesday night. We were leaving for Florida on Saturday morning. This is just a few days before Florida. We have a local minor league baseball team, an affiliate of the Texas Rangers down in Hickory, the Hickory Crawdads. And on that Tuesday night, they were having a bring your pet for $1 night at the ballpark. So I thought it'd be fun to take Pierre to a ball game. And I snapped this picture, and I'm really glad we did this because, like I said, I had no idea that I only had a few weeks left with him. I had no clue. But he seemed to be watching the game so intently, like he knew what was going on. So that's what that picture is. And
our last trip to Florida with Pierre, we were in St. Augustine, and of course it was around the 4th of July, and like I was saying earlier, Pierre can do any look, so he was giving us the patriotic look.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam, yeah, and he would let you put anything on him and just be so cute and sweet in it, and yeah, he was Uncle Sam for us.
Yeah. And I think the 4th that year might have fallen on a Thursday. This is 2019. Excuse me. And I want to say that picture was taken just a little over 2 weeks before he left us. Again, we're in Florida. I did notice when we were in Florida, I did notice him having some difficulty breathing, but it was only like when he would get hot. It seemed like once you got him back into air conditioning, he was okay. But you see it, but you don't want to see it. And I think that's where I was. But maybe I had an idea, but I just didn't think we were going to lose him this quickly. So we did shoot that picture of him in the pet store. He seemingly was happy that day. This next one's tough for me to look at. I almost didn't put it in. But I didn't notice this till after I looked at the picture later. When I took the picture, we were taking a lot of pictures because I'm going to be honest with you, by the time he was discharged from the hospital on that Tuesday evening, we knew we had gotten the prognosis. We knew his time was short. And I was taking all the pictures I could of him that week. And this next one, I almost wish I hadn't taken it because he's on this couch over here behind us. And it's like he had aged 5 years in that week. And you can tell by his face, he's weakening, he's struggling, but there's almost a hint of a smile. Like he's just trying to put on a happy face for us. I don't know what he was thinking, but you can see that his little front legs where the vet shaved him. I guess they have to do that, but they shaved both of his legs.
I think it's for the IV, wasn't it?
It is, but
yeah.
I don't think he had an IV in both legs. I don't know why they did that, but honestly, it's probably the most, to me, pitiful picture of him ever. And you know that's a hard one for me to look at. It's almost like he knows he's sick, but he's trying to smile for us. I don't know. This last one's I might have to let you do it. This last one is his last picture alive, and it's Friday evening. I had taken him another short ride. She had to go to Walmart, so I just dropped her off at the door. It would be a short ride, and she was only going to go in there for one item or two. I stayed outside with him, and when she got back in, she took this picture. And we didn't know what day it was going to come. At that point, I was just praying that if he's not going to get better, don't let him pass away when I'm at work and can't be there. I did not want him to pass away alone. I did not want to euthanize him. That's another thing the vet suggested in Hickory. I mean, this guy, I know he knows his job, but he seemed like he had a thimble full of compassion. I'm not downing him. I'm not. But he was just like, well, you might want to consider it, just like this is not a family member. This is just something, oh, well, we're done with it. This is our family member. And I told her, I said, I cannot. He trusts me. He trusted me more than anybody else in the world. I said, I can't order his death. I can't. He would have had to really been suffering or hurting for me to even consider that. And he did not appear to be in pain. And I did. I prayed. I said, please don't let him die when I'm at work. And let it be painless where I don't have to make the decision. So that picture was taken Friday night. Saturday morning, you said he got down for some water about 2 a.m. I had been waking up like every hour checking on him. And for some reason, after he got down for water, I went into a sound sleep, and I remember waking up. It was right at 6 a.m. and I remember just raising up. I have not checked on Pierre, and I could see the light starting to shine in the window. I could see him down there at the bottom of my the bed, or at the foot of the bed by my legs. He was right up next to my legs. And I reached down to put my hand on him, check his breathing. He was cold, and there was no movement. So I jumped up, I grabbed him, I took him out into the den. I didn't want to panic and wake her up. I tried to bring him back, but he was gone. And he was just gone. There wasn't anything I could do. And, you know, I didn't want it to happen, but I was grateful that it happened early Saturday morning. I did not have to go to work. I could not have gone to work. And I had Saturday and Sunday to try to, you know, gather myself. So we took him over to the vet. They had to, for the procedure we were going to have done for him, we had to take him to the veterinarian and have him frozen. I made her check his, even though I knew he was gone, I said, you're not putting him into a freezer till you check for any faint heartbeat. I have to know he's gone. And so he was. And I told her, I said, I can't stay here today. I can't stay in this house today. So we just took off spur of the moment. I called my son Dylan in Hickory and said, you want to ride to Gatlinburg for the day? And we did. We went up that day and spent the day in Gatlinburg. And I'm going to show you some of the things. I started buying everything I could find up there. Picture frames about your rescue that's passed and your animal. That we had a plaque made. I'm going to include a picture of that as well in here. I bought, I don't know how much stuff that day just to try to make sense of what had happened and try to, you know, keep Pierre alive in our hearts, and he still is. But anyway, I want to thank y'all for watching our tribute to, in my opinion, the best dog ever. And I'm sure if you have a dog, you feel the same way. But Pierre was different than any dog I've ever had. I've never been that attached to one. And
well, let me just say this too. Pierre, he was different than any other dog. Like when you held him, it's like when you held him and you like petted him and stuff, like he would actually lay his head on your chest like a little baby would. You know, it's like he loved that closeness.
He was like a baby in a lot of ways.
He was, and he was just, it was, you couldn't help but like him and get attached to him because he just melted on you. You just, you know, just meshed with him. It was really wonderful.
Yeah, and some of the reviews y'all see of us going to the Smokies, obviously we didn't take him in the restaurants we reviewed, but at least some of the sites and riding through Cades Cove and things like that, some of the reviews you see are places that it looks like we're happy to be there, and we are. We enjoy it, but it's not the same. These are a lot of places that Pierre went with us. Pierre went to Gatlinburg with us 20 or 30 times probably. Florida, I think, 8 times. And when we go back to some of those places, I'm always hit with a memory. Well, Pierre was here. This is going to sound ridiculous. Pierre used that tree, you know. That clip I showed you in Gainesville where he's by that tree. We were by that tree last week. We were down there. I said, there's the tree Pierre peed on when he was down here, you know. It's just weird, the way just things hit you like that. But there is a void and an empty space, and a lot of memories. And I do want to leave you, I know this has been long. I thank y'all, those of you who watched. I want to leave you one final picture of Pierre. This was at Christmas time of 2017. We thought that was going to be his last Christmas because he had had those seizures. And he ended up giving us one after that. Was still around at the Christmas of 2018 and finally left us in July, on July 20th of 2019. So he lived 20 months after he had those 6 seizures. A lot longer than they gave us any hope for. He was a fighter. And just on this day, 2-year anniversary of his leaving us, we just wanted to make this video in tribute to Pierre. In my mind, the greatest dog ever, and there's never going to be another one like him for me. But thank y'all for watching. Did you want to say anything else?
No, just he like I said, he was just a very, very special little dog, and like he had said, I think he really did appreciate the life that he had, because we gave him the best life he could have gotten. You know, we loved him and he loved us, and we just did everything we could for him, and he seemed like he really appreciated that.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you all for watching this video, and I'm not even going to promote the channel right here or do the like and subscribe. Just appreciate y'all watching, letting us talk about this. It helps to be able to talk about it. It's painful, but if you ever lost a pet, you understand. But anyway, everybody have a blessed evening. Thank you again for watching. And one more thing I did want to add is that right after he passed, I actually, on my other YouTube channel, I created a tribute video to him and put it to music. So I'm going to link in the description to that video. I don't really know how, and I'm not professional by any means. I did my best. But I don't know how to re-upload it to this channel. I don't even know if that's possible. So I'm going to link to it in the description, and if you want to watch it, that's fine. If you don't, I understand. But some of the pictures that were in this are in that one. Some that I did not put in this one are in that one as well. But Pierre, again, was a very special dog. So I'm going to link to that video, his tribute, in the description. So if you're interested in watching it, thank you.